Hi friends, thank you for joining us on our Wednesday TNT. It's the middle of the week. Good heavens, there's only 4 days till Christmas. Now here in Thailand, of course, it's a majority Buddhist country, but they go all out when it comes to Christmas, certainly in shopping precincts, maybe less so in sort of more rural communities. But you go to any shopping centres and they go all out. The decorations are fantastic. So anyway, it's good to see the Thais enjoying Christmas. Not that they particularly understand what it's all about, but then again, I wonder whether many Westerners do either these days. Now, look to the this main story of the Royal Thai Navy ship sinking, and of course we'd like to express commiserations to those that have been lost in this avoidable tragedy. And we're going to go through some of the details that have emerged, most of these from a media conference with the Admiral of the Royal Thai Navy yesterday, and the headline in Phuket-Go.com, there weren't enough life vests on board. Well, I think that is stark, and I think something that obviously needs a little bit more investigation. So we'll go to this story from the goodwordnews.com. Now, I've never actually heard of this particular publication, but the story's been republished from Associated Press, so I think they're an aggregator, if you like. And the story says, survivors interviewed by Thai television said there weren't enough life jackets because the ship was carrying guests in addition to its normal crew, which the Navy website says was 87 sailors and officers. The Navy commander confirmed this to be true in comments. Let's go further. It says they added personnel from the Marine Corps and the Air and Coastal Defence Command, about 30 people. That's why I think there was not enough life jackets. Video of the Vice Admiral speaking at one of the rescue centres yesterday showed him confronting a woman who said she was the mother of one of the missing sailors. She said, "My son called me on his friend's phone when the boat started to sink. He said he hadn't been given a life jacket but only a life ring. As a parent, when I heard this, my heart broke. If there weren't enough life jackets, how much hope can you give me?" Now, all this isn't going to wash well with the Thais, and certainly isn't with the Thai media, who are really going hard on the Navy on this one. There's a lot of course, military personnel in Thailand. A lot of parents aspire to their children serving in the military, the Army, the Air Force, and particularly the Navy. Many questions could be asked why Thailand needs so many defence personnel. That's another debate for another day. But for this to happen, this avoidable tragedy, is something that's really rocked a lot of Thai people. "Nobody wants this to happen," said the Prime Minister. "We will investigate the cause and will never let this happen again." Let's just go back to another line in the story from Phuket Go, Phuket-Go.com, and we saw the title a bit earlier, but there was one quote at the very, very bottom. This is from the Vice Admiral saying this. In contrast to earlier reports, he admitted that there weren't enough life vests on board, but he said the styrofoam boxes containing the life vests could be used as floating devices. Well, I think that's a reckless thing for him to say, but we're now going to go and check on some of the information that comes from yesterday, a press conference around about 4 p.m. with the latest toll. So we start with the BBC. Thai Navy ship sinking, rescuers find bodies of 6 sailors. This seems to be the latest toll as reported. Rescuers have recovered the bodies of 6 crew members from a Thai warship that sank off the country's southeast coast. The dead sailors and 1 survivor were found yesterday as military teams scoured the waters in the Gulf of Thailand. A search is continuing for 23 sailors still missing. The Navy says 76 crew members have been rescued in total. Let's check the local media, and we go to Thai PBS World. 6 crew from the sunken Thai Navy vessel found dead, 1 rescued safely. 7 crew members of the ill-fated HTMS Sukhothai were found drifting in the Gulf of Thailand yesterday, but only 1 of them had survived. And then just in the second paragraph down the end, talking about the report that there were insufficient life vests on board for all 106 crew members. Just noting that the other article said that apparently the boat was meant to carry 87 in total, but they had around about 30 people from the local Marine Corps. Let's go to some more in that story. The Admiral saying that a lot of seawater came through the bow of the ship, causing damage to the electrical and engine system. The crew tried to pump the water out, but the inflow was too great. And when the ship could not pump sufficient water out, it became uncontrollable because the water had flooded the engines and all but one stopped functioning. Control of the rudder was lost, and finally the ship lost all power, drifting and listing in the sea, as was seen in the media coverage. So that's the latest there from Thai PBS. So just another paragraph here. He said that there were 6 life rafts on the vessel. Each could only accommodate 15 men. He also said that the crew did not abandon the ship immediately, as they were expecting the arrival of a tugboat. And then this paragraph, when the ship listed heavily and started to sink from the stern, chaos broke out because crew who did not have life vests were ordered to use the life rafts, while some others were swept into the sea by the waves. Some tried to swim towards the Kraburi, and small boats were sent to rescue those in the sea. So that's about all we know, the latest coverage there of the sinking of the Sukhothai, and let's hope that, maybe there's a miracle and they might find some more sailors, maybe even alive today. You're watching the TNT program on a Wednesday morning. Big thanks to 5 Star Marine. And if you're ever down in Phuket and you'd like to head out to one of the islands, then we can only recommend 5 Star Marine for a private boat tour. And I tell you what, today's bright blue skies around the island, so I think today will be a perfect day for those people heading out with 5 Star Marine. To our next story, and from the Bangkok Post, 11 foreign passengers hurt in a bus accident. And there's a quick photograph there of people waiting around in the wake of that bus overturning. 11 foreign passengers were injured when a tour bus ran off the Petkasem highway and crashed into a power post. The Petkasem highway is the main road that goes from Bangkok down to the south of Thailand. And the accident occurred about 3:40 a.m. yesterday near the kilometre marker 147 on the Bangkok-bound side of the Petkasem highway. It was taking 19 foreign tourists, one of them a child, from Suratani to Bangkok. And in this version of the story, passengers told police that the first driver moved out of the seat to let the other driver take the wheel and continue driving without stopping the vehicle. The bus veered off the highway into the roadside ditch, crashed into a power post. 11 of the passengers were injured, none of them seriously. So that's the version of the story from the Bangkok Post. Let's check out the Nation's version of that story. And a bus slides off the road in Phetchaburi, injuring 18. So a very different outcome here, with 18 people listed as injured in the Nation Thailand story. And the story says as many as 18 foreigners were injured when a bus lost control and slipped off the road in Phetchaburi's Khao Yoi district yesterday. Police said 18 of the 25 foreigners inside the bus were injured, adding that the passengers included young children around the age of 10. Investigators believe the driver may have fallen asleep behind the wheel and have taken him in for interrogation. Perhaps the word should be questioning. But anyway, quite a different version of the story there from Nation Thailand. So it looks like no one died, but there are some serious injuries, we understand, and we hope they all get well very, very soon. We don't know the nationality of those foreigners. Basically, that's the information we have. Also from the Bangkok Post, floods hit 64,400 homes in the south. I think yesterday we reported that it was 53,000 homes affected, so looks like that toll is rising as emergency workers get to some of those more remote areas. And the story says that flooding has affected more than 64,000 households in 9 southern provinces since Sunday, and it persists in 7 provinces. Days of heavy rain from Sunday to Tuesday brought flash floods. You can see the areas there. A total of 64,626 households, 1,425 villages in 66 districts have been hit by flooding, and flooding remains in those 7 provinces listed there. As of 6 a.m. yesterday, water levels in the overflowing Patani and Saiburi rivers were still higher than the riverbanks by 1.25 metres. So it looks like some unseasonal, maybe even, I suppose, at a stretch, late monsoonal rain has hit parts of the south. This side of the Andaman side of the southern Thailand didn't seem to get anywhere near that level of rain. Certainly seems to have been the Gulf Coast hit this time. So we go to our next story, flick, and this one from coconuts.co, the Coconuts Bangkok. They say low-grade cannabis crackdown continues on Thong Lo with fines and slap wrists. Thong Lo, a very fashionable part along the Sukhumvit stretch, Thong Lo and Ekamai. Let's see what the story says. 6 vendors were fined 5,000 baht, that's about $140 for violating cannabis sale regulations in the Thong Lo area. Regulations, with 3 of them accused of selling fake permits. The story says the police have been making a public show of searching Khao San Road and the Thong Lo area for those suspected of violating the few rules controlling cannabis. The authorities said they found 3 owners of mobile weed trucks had forged their provisional sales licenses. The third paragraph, they were also sentenced to 2 years in prison, but won't do any jail time as their sentences were suspended. The 6 weed sellers will be required to report to a court regularly. So the few rules that exist, they seem to be at least applying. Thailand's still waiting for passage of the months-delayed Cannabis Act, with all the turmoil with MPs defecting from parties and Parliament struggling to get a quorum to do just about anything. I think that delay is going to continue. So that's just a bit of an update on some of the marijuana games here in Thailand. To our next story, and ferries resume operation in Koh Samui after 2 days of weather-related suspensions. So these are the islands of Koh Samui, Koh Pha Ngan and Koh Tao, and the people have been stuck there, and all the flights have been full. Bangkok Airways even added a few extra flights, but they literally couldn't get everybody off the island that needed to or wanted to. And the story says that ferries have resumed normal operation after a 2-day suspension due to strong winds and waves. From 5:30 yesterday, local media reported that the ferry services in Koh Samui and Angthong sub-district reopened after being suspended for 2 days. There's been a large number of cars queuing to board the ferries to the mainland at the ticket sales point, a queue that stretched over 2 kilometres. Now, I've done the ferry trip a couple of times, and I've sometimes had to wait in queues that long. And also, if you miss one ferry, then you have to wait another 2 or 3 ferries. In those days, it wasn't particularly easy to book. And I always found it a bit of a schmozzle. But anyway, I hope these people are now getting on the ferries they need. Did they add any extra ferries? Well, normally ferries depart from the pier every hour, but today they were adjusted to depart every half hour. A bit further down it says the last ferry of the day will depart 7:30 p.m. The first trip commences at 4:30 a.m. So there's some details for people trying to get off the island at the moment. People stuck on Samui for a few days. But then again, not a bad place to be stuck after all. Hopefully the weather is now improving in the Gulf of Thailand, and of course those searches will be resuming today in the faint hope they might find some of those missing sailors arrive. And with that, I thank you very much for dropping into TNT today. Please subscribe to the channel on your way out, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.